Well, we were definitely preparing for a worst case scenario, given some of the mass shootings that had taken place around the country, given the level of rhetoric that we were hearing, given that people were explicitly saying that they were coming to Portland, Oregon to commit acts of violence. And we expected a counter demonstration here as well. So we planned for the worst. Fortunately, on the whole, it was a non-violent day. We had a plan, we executed to that plan, and we kept violence to a minimum. So on the whole, I would say it was a successful day from a law enforcement perspective. The two takeaways for me are, number one, that you need a broad, coordinated coalition of law enforcement. So we worked very, very hard to create a coalition with federal law enforcement, state law enforcement, and local law enforcement partners. The second thing we did was we unified the community. We brought the business community, government, faith leaders, labor leaders, civil rights leaders, and many, many others together last week. And we had a unified message that we do not tolerate hate and we do not tolerate violence. And that message appeared to get out. Some people who were planning to come here decided not to come here. And the Police Bureau, I thought, did a very good job on the whole of keeping demonstrators who might potentially get into it separated, and they kept violence to a minimum.
So is the city preparing for the prospect of these demonstrations returning to Portland indefinitely, or are you exploring ways to try to make these folks from out of state stop coming here?
I don't know if they'll come here again or not. I mean, honestly, the Proud Boys could not articulate why they were here. They had an open platform. They were asked by a national news media organization why they were here. And one of the leaders was all over the place. And he finally said, the reason we're here is to disrupt Portland, to incur costs to their taxpayers, to make it difficult for business owners and operators to be successful during one of the busiest seasons of the year. I mean, who does that? That's not really an articulated political message. That's just menacing. And so we're going to continue to be prepared from a law enforcement perspective. If people want to come here and spew hate or engage in violence, we'll be ready. We'll hold people accountable. And the community coalition is going to continue to speak out loudly that if you're here to just spew hate or create havoc or disrupt our businesses or incur costs on our taxpayers or commit acts of violence, we don't want you here. But if you come, we will hold you accountable to the law.
I'm a little confused by what you're saying, because you were mentioning that the Proud Boys came here, they don't have an explicit message, they're all over the place, and ultimately, according to you, they said they were here to disrupt
That's
Portland.
what they said, correct.
Is that a political message? Is that them practicing their First Amendment rights?
In my opinion, it is a subversion of First Amendment rights. They are standing behind their right to assembly and their right to free speech, to commit acts of violence or to do other things that are potentially against the law, but we cannot prevent people from coming here. We can only enforce the law. Our job is to make sure that if people do violate the law, we hold them accountable, and that's what we did.
Proud Boy organizer Joe Biggs released a video after Saturday's demonstration where he was in swim trunks on a trampoline, sitting back and laughing and saying, thank you, Mayor Ted Wheeler, for picking up the tab on our $2 million weekend in Portland. How do you respond to something like that?
Who does that? I mean, that is the height of cynicism. That's the height of cynicism, to just assume that the taxpayers don't work hard for those dollars that he came here with the intention of wasting. It's the ultimate in cynicism. I think it speaks to the character of the man.